Alright, let's jump right into this explainer, because today we are immersing ourselves in a truly incredible story of personal transformation. I want you to just picture the nighttime world of downtown Chicago for a second. While the rest of the city is sleeping, and all those thousands of successful people have already gone home for the night, there's one man who is quietly beginning a shift that literally almost no one notices. His name is Daniel Carter. He's a 30-year-old night janitor in one of the city's tallest, most prestigious office buildings. Every single night, he changes into the exact same worn uniform, takes a deep breath, and pushes his cleaning cart through these endless empty hallways. He is quietly searching for a change in his life, but honestly, he feels completely invisible. Okay, let's dive into this. Daniel spends his nights polishing these massive marble floors until they literally reflect the lights like mirrors. He's cleaning these luxurious high-end conference rooms where huge company-altering decisions are made, and he's often standing there just imagining what it would actually be like to sit at that table instead of just wiping it clean. Standing beside those giant office windows, looking out over that glowing Chicago skyline, his body's just exhausted. He's exhausted from a life that feels completely stuck on an endless loop. And as he's staring down at his own reflection in the freshly polished floor, he asks himself the same painful question he's been asking for years. Will my life ever change? You see, the contrast in Daniel's life is just incredibly stark. Every evening, he has to step aside for these wealthy executives in their tailored suits who walk confidently through the lobby discussing million-dollar deals. In Daniel's world, it's entirely different. After his shift ends, he climbs this narrow staircase to his really small, quiet apartment. His reality is a lonely stack of unpaid bills on the counter and incredibly simple meals. We're talking a carton of milk, a few eggs, and some bread. That is literally all he has to get by until payday. It's a quiet, isolated existence that feels a million miles away from the massive success he spends his nights cleaning up after. But despite all these desperate circumstances, Daniel actually has an anchor. One morning, he's sitting alone at his small kitchen table in complete silence, and his phone rings. It's his mother. She asks if he's taking care of himself, and even though they both know he isn't doing great, he just smiles and says he's fine. But right before they hang up, she gently reminds him of something absolutely crucial. She says, "Never stop believing that your life can become something greater." Daniel just closes his eyes and holds on to those words. It's a beautiful moment that really shows his incredible emotional resilience and how he holds on to this quiet, enduring hope no matter what. And that brings us to the inciting incident of our story. One rainy morning, after yet another exhausting, grueling shift, Daniel is hurrying to his bus stop, only to watch his usual bus pull away right in front of him. Now, normally, this would be intensely frustrating. He'd want to scream. But instead of getting angry, Daniel notices this small coffee shop glowing warmly across the street in the cold morning darkness. He just decides to walk inside, and there, sitting alone by the window, is an older gentleman in a very elegant navy suit, writing slowly in a worn leather notebook. It's a total chance encounter, but it's one that is about to change Daniel's entire trajectory. The man, whose name we find out is Michael Harrison, notices Daniel looking totally wiped out. He warmly invites him to sit down and absolutely insists on buying him breakfast. As they're sharing this peaceful kind of silence over hot coffee and breakfast sandwiches, Michael looks directly into Daniel's eyes and asks him a profoundly deep question. What do you really want to do with your life? Well, caught completely off guard, Daniel just rattles off his mundane routine, right? Working, paying bills, sleeping. But Michael pushes back. He says, "I didn't ask what you do, I asked what you want." Finally, Daniel just whispers the honest, vulnerable truth. He says, "I just want my life to matter." Michael tells him that is a much better answer. And then he shares this incredibly powerful philosophy. You see, most people think success starts with opportunity, but Michael explains that opportunity, that's not the starting line. Instead, success begins with ownership. Now, Daniel is understandably confused. He doesn't own anything, but Michael clarifies it for him. He says you must take ownership of your mornings, you must own your attention, and you absolutely must own your habits. Because until you learn to manage those basic things, you will never, ever be able to manage money or success. Then Michael does something interesting. He tears a single handwritten page from his notebook, folds it up neatly, and hands it to Daniel with one rule. Do not read this until right before sunrise tomorrow. So the following morning, sitting in the quiet, sleeping city, Daniel unfolds the note, and the very first message hits him like a ton of bricks. It says, "Your job is not keeping you poor, your habits are." Wow. Now what's really interesting about this is how it completely reframes his entire mindset. He realizes his circumstances aren't the actual trap, his daily routines are the trap. The note continues with this highly actionable 90-day plan. Michael writes that the person you become between 5 and 7 a.m. dictates the life you live for the rest of the day. And the instructions? They're incredibly simple, but they demand absolute, unwavering discipline for the next 90 days. Step 1, move your body. Step 2, learn a valuable skill. Step 3, write down what you learned. Step 4, repeat. Every single day, no excuses. Suddenly, Daniel realizes that changing his future doesn't actually require some massive miracle. It just requires consistency. Right then and there, he promises himself he won't miss a single sunrise. Of course, putting this into practice wasn't exactly a walk in the park. Let's move to and see how this builds over time. Day 1 is just a painful struggle. When that 5 a.m. alarm rings, his body is literally begging for sleep. But he remembers, he owns his mornings now. He drags himself out for a walk in the cold air, his legs feeling like lead. But fast forward to day 21, and the habit is formed. The alarm clock isn't even waking him up anymore. His internal clock is. Waking up early actually starts to feel like freedom rather than a punishment. And by day 90, after dedicating all those quiet mornings to free online tutorials, he proudly prints out a certificate of completion for an introductory Excel course. But here's the thing. The transformation wasn't just about learning spreadsheets. Daniel's internal discipline ended up sparking this amazing chain reaction of new habits. He completely stopped eating junk food. He started prepping healthy meals, drinking way more water, and, perhaps the hardest part, he totally cut down the time he spent endlessly doom scrolling on social media. He chose instead to read, to learn, to grow. And all these quiet internal changes, they actually became outwardly visible. One evening, his supervisor literally stops him in the hall and says, "You look different, healthier, happier. You just seem more confident." Daniel doesn't say a word about the early mornings or the notebook. He just smiles, because true change, it just naturally becomes visible. And then we get the ultimate test of his newly acquired skills. The accounting department is in an absolute state of panic over hundreds of messy, broken spreadsheets. Nobody has the time for the extra work, and they are seriously struggling. Daniel, the night janitor, quietly raises his hand and says, "Hey, I think I can help." People are understandably shocked, but Daniel just sits down, starts organizing the data, creates the necessary formulas, and totally simplifies their reports. It takes him exactly 2 hours to fix a massive crisis that had stalled the entire department. 2 hours. 2 hours to prove that all those 5 a.m. mornings were finally paying off. As Daniel is packing up his backpack that night, he has absolutely no idea that someone had been watching him the entire time. High up above the office floor, behind this wall of glass, the operations director, Richard Bennett, had quietly witnessed the whole thing. So the next evening, Daniel's supervisor pulls him aside and says, "The operations director wants to see him." Daniel's heart just starts racing. As the elevator slowly climbs up to the executive floor, his mind is just flooded with total panic. Did he make a mistake? Is he about to lose his job? I mean, why on earth would the operations director want to see a janitor? The tension here is just incredible. Daniel nervously walks into Richard Bennett's very elegant, very intimidating office. Richard is holding up the exact spreadsheet Daniel had fixed in 2 hours, a project that had frustrated the entire accounting team for 3 weeks. Richard looks at him and asks how he did it. Daniel very modestly explains that he's been studying before work every morning. Richard leans in, genuinely curious now, and asks, why? Daniel takes a deep breath and delivers this brilliant, brutally honest answer. Because someone once told me that if I learned to own my mornings, I could eventually own my future. It is the exact philosophy Michael taught him, completely internalized and spoken with this quiet, unshakable confidence. A slow smile appears on Richard's face. He stands up, looks out the window, and tells Daniel what actually impressed him. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole point. It wasn't the Excel skills, it wasn't the printed certificate, it was Daniel's unwavering discipline. As Richard puts it so perfectly, skills can be taught, character cannot. You see, Richard wasn't looking at a janitor anymore. He was looking at a problem solver who absolutely refuses to quit. By taking complete ownership of his habits, Daniel had perfectly prepared himself for this exact moment of opportunity. Richard slides a document across the desk. It's for a junior operations assistant position, full-time, double his current salary, paid training, real career growth. Richard tells him, look, you still have to interview for it next week. You have to earn it. And earn it, he certainly does. After a fantastic interview, Daniel officially gets the job. As he steps out of the building into the bright morning sun, the very first thing he does is call his mother. Through happy tears, he tells her he finally has a real chance. And her response? She says, I always believed this day would come. You just needed to believe it too. Before his very first day in his brand new role, Daniel goes back to that same quiet coffee shop at sunrise. Michael Harrison walks in, and Daniel excitedly tells him the news. He got the job. Michael just smiles and says he knew he would. Because as he says, when you choose discipline over excuses, the outcome is really only a matter of time. Then Michael hands Daniel one final handwritten note, and it contains the core lesson that defines this entire parable. The goal was never to change your job. The goal was to change the man doing the job. Let's bring this amazing story full circle. Years later, Daniel Carter actually works his way up to become one of the company's youngest operations directors. But here's the best part. Despite the massive success, the big salary, the promotions, he never stopped waking up before sunrise. One quiet morning, he's walking through the lobby and spots a young, exhausted, and clearly discouraged janitor cleaning the floor, looking exactly the way Daniel once had. Daniel just smiles, walks over, hands the young man a cup of coffee, and pays his success forward. Because true success isn't built in one single extraordinary moment. It's built in ordinary mornings, repeated with extraordinary consistency. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with the exact same question Daniel asked that young janitor, and the very question Michael asked Daniel all those years ago: what do you really want to do with your life? I challenge you to take a hard look at your own habits. Your future isn't decided by some massive stroke of luck. It's decided by the person you become between 5 and 7 a.m. Take ownership of your morning starting tomorrow, and who knows, perhaps your greatest story could begin too. Thanks so much for joining me.